What's up, Heat fans? It's Nic Rohloff of the Heat Report with another video today surrounding the latest trade rumors for your Miami Heat. They lost last night to the Chicago Bulls by 8 points at home. And listen, there's a lot of things going wrong with Miami right now. A lot can be pointed to injuries, but is there a question of needing a boost in the Heat front court? And that's why John Collins, the Utah Jazz power forward, who has been rumored around the Miami Heat in the past, we're talking about him potentially being a trade target today. In the later part of the video, we will also be discussing the latest surrounding Tyler Herro, because Tyler has set his expected return date, and I could not be more fired up about that. But make sure you do subscribe to the channel, because whether I'm in office or I'm out of office, I'm going to cover the latest surrounding the Miami Heat. So hit that sub button. We're about 300 away from 7K. Not going to get there today. Maybe will, maybe won't, but hit that sub button. Let's get us to 7K subscribers as soon as possible. All right, let's dive into John Collins now, because the former Atlanta Hawk, now with the Utah Jazz, has been someone on the Heat's radar, it felt like, for the last 3 to 4 seasons. And it's been someone that us Heat fans have actually clamored for in the past, that Pat Riley should make a move for the forward that went to Wake Forest. And the reason why it's intriguing to add John Collins to this Heat roster is what he brings to the table offensively. He is an athletic power forward. He's 6'9", he's 235. He can skywalk for lobs and dunks, and he can just dunk on top of you, but he can also space the floor with some good shooting. So the offensive fit is phenomenal. The defense is what is intriguing to me, because he's got the talent to be an elite power forward defensively in this league. He's athletic, he can move his feet, and like I mentioned, he's lengthy. He could jump to the top of the backboard, it feels like, and swat shots away. But why hasn't it worked for him everywhere he's gone? That is the big question. And to me, it starts with his effort. Because if you look at the raw numbers for his career, he's averaging 16 points a game, 8 rebounds, shooting 55% from the field, and 36% from beyond the arc. This season, in 22 games for Utah, 14.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, 48% from the field, and 38% from three. So he's actually having a pretty decent season from beyond the arc. The overall field goal percentage is a little bit down, but the rumors surrounding Collins is that the Jazz are going to be open to trading him. It also came out today that Lauri Markkanen is no longer untouchable in Utah, which we've talked about Lauri on the channel in the past. And listen, if you had to make me choose between John Collins and Lauri Markkanen, I'm going to choose Lauri Markkanen. But we'll talk about the cheaper option on the trade market today with JC. And like I mentioned, let's go with the positives first, and let's look at the offense, because what he would be able to do with spacing the floor is just phenomenal. And I just have visions of John Collins hanging out on the perimeter, getting set an off-ball screen by Kyle Lowry or Jimmy Butler. And say Tyler Herro, right, and Bam and Adebayo are working on the right side of the floor. They're in a pick and roll. Tyler runs a pick. Bam goes to the rim. Tyler hits him with a pocket pass, and then they set up with an off-ball screen, and they get John Collins in the dunker roll. Bam Adebayo is one of the best playmakers in the league for his size, and he'd be able to find Collins on baseline or even throw him a lob. And the Heat aren't afraid to run Jimmy Butler in the pick and roll either. You get Jimmy on that spot in the free throw line, catching it and be able to make a decision in either hitting Collins in that dunker roll or pulling up or getting to the rim himself. Like, the offensive continuity between Collins and the rest of this Heat roster is just phenomenal, and it's why Heat fans have wanted to trade for John Collins from Atlanta for basically his entire career. We've been searching for an established power forward, or just in that 4 position, to be slotted in between Jimmy Butler and Bam. And a lot of us have thought about PJ Washington and John Collins as those players in that mid-tier, not elite players, but would be able to be that 4th, 5th player on a possibly contending team that can be that perfect starting power forward. It's also a reason why we are so enamored with what Jaime Jaquez Jr. is bringing to the table. He's only 6'6", so he'd be an undersized power forward, but what he brings to the table offensively and defensively has certainly caught our attention as someone who could potentially be a Jimmy Butler replacement 2 or 3 years down the line, or be that 3rd/4th star Miami has been looking for. Before we dive more into John Collins, let me know, would you guys be be intrigued in trading for John Collins with Utah. Danny Ainge and Pat Riley have no love for each other, but I wouldn't rule it out of the possibility. So let me know. Yeah, why for yes and for no would you want to trade for John Collins? All right. If I'm going to be honest, I labeled a lot of reasons why it would be intriguing to add Collins to this Heat roster. The offensive fit, and I mentioned he has the tools to be good defensively. The problem is I don't think he's in it to win it. And to me, when you look at the Miami Heat basketball team and their roster, what are they comprised of? They are comprised of people who have got that dog mentality that just will do anything to win a basketball game. They don't give a shit about what they do on the stat sheet. All they care about is making sure they win. And that is instilled from the top down, and it's kind of perfect, and I think it's why it's worked over the last 4 seasons with Jimmy Butler. Butler's stats aren't gaudy in the regular season because he just wants to win ball games. So if it means getting Duncan Robinson 20 points a game and him being the leading scorer, having the rookie Jaime Jaquez being the leading scorer last night, it does not matter. Bam Adebayo is the same way. There's questions. I know Tyler wants to win, but there are questions about if he's more of a stats guy than a winning guy. And that's why John Collins scares me. I feel like he's a stats guy. He's someone that just wants to touch the ball, make his own shots, pad his stats, and then get paid. I mean, listen, obviously this is a job for most of these guys, and they're playing this to set up their family for the foreseeable future and themselves for the future. But there's got to be a level of wanting to win and wanting to want it bad. And I don't think John Collins does. And like I mentioned, he's got all the talent in the world. I labeled his offensive ability and his defensive prowess. But why hasn't it worked in Atlanta? Why has he already been on the trade block 25 games into the season after just joining the Utah Jazz this season? To me, there is something following John Collins, and the Heat are very particular about the guys they bring into this locker room. Heat culture, as much as you want to joke on it, it is real. And the Heat organization look for certain traits in basketball players. Like, they're not going to bring in the pretty boy that isn't willing to get it done and get a win. And to me, John Collins kind of screams like that type of guy. It's disappointing to say because he's got the talent, and I think he would be the ideal fit for Miami, but I just don't see them pulling the trigger on Collins, and I don't know if I'd even want to. So my full answer is probably staying away from Collins because I'm afraid of bringing him into this locker room, potentially bringing down the way this team plays. Like, we don't need a player that doesn't give effort on the defensive end. Our defense has been atrocious this season. I know Bam Adebayo has been out, but, like, come on. It's got to be better than that. I'll wrap up my thoughts on John Collins and look to the injury news in a second, but I got to give some love to our sponsor on today's show, and that is PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. I play it every single day. Comedian Andrew Schultz plays it every single day. Rapper Meek Mill also plays every single day. Just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can win up to 25 times your money. Yes, you heard that correctly. I'm not bullshitting you. So head to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, final thoughts on John Collins, and we'll get to the injury news. It's just like, I don't know. I think the offense would be fantastic, but like I mentioned, the defense has been atrocious for Miami this year, and when you give up 124 points last night to the Chicago Bulls, that's definitely an eye-opener. And hopefully the Heat get their reinforcements back soon to shore up that defense. Obviously, when you're missing the best defensive player in the planet, you're going to see a decline in your total defense. But here's a quick little tidbit, by the way. 25 games played. Miami is 15th out of 30 in net rating. So they're exactly a mid-team. They're 15th out of 30. But I do expect that number to get closer to the top 10 range when Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo return, because the Heat have been constantly missing star players this season. And they are looking to get one back Monday at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves, as Tyler Herro has set that game as his targeted return date. So the Heat get a much added scorer back in Tyler Herro, which he was averaging 25.2 points per game before he got hurt. So when the 7 full games he played before getting hurt and halfway through that Grizzlies game, he was putting up 25 a night on 44 and change field goal percentage and shooting exactly 41% from beyond the arc. Tyler Herro is on his way to an all-star caliber season. He probably has to be healthy for the rest of the way to potentially get that all-star nod, and who knows if he'll be able to get to that even if he stays healthy and plays good either way. But Herro is on his way for a very terrific season, and hopefully when he returns on Monday, he'll be able to dominate like he was in the first 7 games of the season. It's not official that he's returning. That's his personal targeted return date. But if Miami feels it's necessary to hold him out one more game, he is definitely coming back next Wednesday against the Orlando Magic. So either way, Tyler Herro is returning against the best team in the Western Conference in the Minnesota Timberwolves, or he's returning against a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference, according to record, in the Orlando Magic. Who would have thought we were saying that before the season begins? Bam Adebayo is also expected to return within the next week and a half. We're exactly 10 days away from Christmas. Today's December 15th, 25th. I'm hoping Bam will either return on Christmas against the Philadelphia 76ers, or he'll be able to return beforehand. He's been dealing with that hip injury. But within the next 10 days, we are going to hopefully be getting back both Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo, the second and third best players on the Miami Heat. And maybe Haywood Highsmith can return as well, because I am fully excited to see this Heat team back in action, fully healthy, because we've played a lot of bad teams early on in the year, which thank goodness, because we've been dealing with a lot of injuries. But credit to this Heat roster for patching together a 14-11 record through 25 games when you've been missing Bam for about 7 or 8 and then Tyler for about 18 games. So it's pretty big to Heat have a 500-plus record this early in the season, and they don't have to play catch-up when the players return, and they can hopefully climb up the Eastern Conference standings when Tyler and Bam do make their returns to this Heat lineup. That'll do it for today's video. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. We're live multiple times a week for watch parties, and we bring you videos on a daily basis as well. Our next watch party is going to be Monday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Hopefully Tyler Herro's return, so make sure you join us to welcome 14 back. That'll do it. I'll see you on the next time, which will probably be Monday after this NFL weekend. I'll see y'all, and go Heat. Hopefully we can pick up a win against the Bulls on Saturday.